spray my auger assembly a little bit and keep this wheel from seizing on there. Throw a little stable in the fuel. What is up, Buck? Doug Houdini in the garage. Today I want to show you how I winterize or summerize snow blowers. Just like a boat. No better process out there, I guarantee it. Now the very first thing you need to do, and this should already be done by the time the spring comes around, but you need to wash down your auger assembly, your impeller assembly, the gearbox, this whole clamshell, especially if you snowblow where there's road salt, meaning your driveway butts up to the road and you chew up that berm that the snowplow makes. That's covered with road salt, which absolutely annihilates your clamshell, your auger, and washing it down is as easy as blowing a hose in there, so why the heck wouldn't you do it? Now once you got it washed down, you want to treat any exposed metal. You can do this with WD-40, generic lube. My personal favorite is fluid film, but I don't have any right now, so what we're going to do is take some of this Wally World WD-40 and just spray the exposed metal in there. Not going to hurt anything. Might spray my auger assembly a little bit. This thing still has good paint, so I don't have to go too crazy on the clamshell, but if I spray down these slides, there you go. Now next thing you want to do is find any grease points on the machine. Sometimes these gearboxes will have a little grease arc, maybe it's on the bottom. This one doesn't seem to have any. What I like to do, if they've never been done, is take the wheels off and grease those. That's usually as easy as picking the back of the machine up and supporting it. Pulling a pin out. And this should slide right off the shaft. What you want to do, take some red and tacky or the like, spray just a little bit on there, and what that's going to do is keep this shaft from rusting and corroding and keep this wheel from seizing on there. I like to spray a little down this hole before I stick the pin back in. While you have your lubricant and your red and tacky grease out, you want to go ahead and take a look at all other moving parts. You're looking for friction points, places where your metal is wearing, or some plastic components may be wearing, something that may rust or begin to corrode over the winter when you don't necessarily want it to. I'm going to blast the ends of these because they're already starting to get a little corrosion on them. If you want, you could maybe spray a little lubricant right on the pivot points of these. All right, friends, as long as you're intending on using your snowblower next year, you're not planning on having it sit for 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years, throw a little stable in the fuel, you should be fine. Should have been using this all season, eh, bud? Every little bit of fuel you put in any machine, stable, especially these days, otherwise gas goes bad in 10 minutes. So ideally the stable's in here and it's been in here and this is the fuel you've been using, and if that's the case, don't do anything. Otherwise, fill up a gallon tank with some stable, put it in the machine, run it so it gets through the lines and into the carburetor. As long as you're going to be using it within a year, she should be good to go. Next step is to get this thing where it's going to spend the winter, and I highly suggest if you don't have the ability to keep it inside in a super dry climate controlled environment, grab a pallet from wherever the heck they're throwing pallets out, use that. I can't keep it in here all winter, I got too much going on, so it's going back with the pile of shame behind the house. Beautiful. Would you look at that? So this thing will be more or less up out of the mud and the blood and the beer for the winter. Now what we have to do is fog the engine. Fogging oil is a protective lubricant for your carburetor, your valves, your cylinder, your piston, all that good stuff. There are two ways to get it in there. One's the right way, one's the wrong way. And unfortunately the wrong way is also the easy way. The easy way, aka the wrong way, is just to pull this spark plug out and fire it down the old throat hole there. The problem is that only hits your piston partially, your cylinder partially, and maybe your valves if you're super lucky and said your P's and Q's that day. The real right way to do it is to pull off the carburetor cover. On this blower it looks like this. On older units usually looks something like that, or even some big honking thing like that, depending on the age of the unit. So you can get down to the carburetor. There she is. Hi buddy, how you doing? So what we want to do is start her up and blast the fogging oil down there, kind of like carbon choke spray. You're going to blast it a little bit and try not to kill it. Maybe do that 2 or 3 times before you give it a good hoot and let that kill it out. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There we go, friends. That bad boy is fogged. So now the inside of the carburetor has a coating of lubricant, and God willing, the valves, cylinder, and piston do as well, so you won't have to deal with corrosion issues, stuck rings, seized up carburetors in the probably December with a foot of snow on the ground, right? Alrighty, friends, the next step is the most important one. If you only do one thing to your snowblower, ignore the fogging oil and the stable and the pallet, cover the darn thing. Most of the snowblowers that I get, like this one right here, and the customer says, ran when parked, started, it doesn't run. I don't know, I'm not a mechanic, might as well just put it on the curb for free, apparently. Most of the ones I get like that, it's water. Water makes its way into the fuel tank. Water makes its way into the carburetor, and then it's very hard, without taking the tank off and cleaning it out and taking the carburetor off and cleaning it out, to get the thing running properly. Plus, you may get oil down in your, or water down in your oil. You got to cover these things, and if nothing else, you're just inviting rust in silly places. Let's fill up our electric starter with water, why don't you? How about this guy right here? Should we let that be exposed to the elements for 9 months? No. Now, how should you cover it? Well, tarps exist, and they are fine, I guess. They have issues. They rip, they collect water, they blow away. What I like to use is this right here. If you don't work at a marina, or you don't know, this is shrink wrap that they use to cover boats, right? You can get yourself a roll relatively inexpensively. I got 200 feet of it a few years ago for 200 bucks, worth every penny. I've wrapped every snowblower, I wrapped my lawn furniture, and then I wrap my boats. But if you don't want to spend $200 on a whole roll, go to a marina. If you don't live close enough to water to be near a marina, you're doing with your life. But find a marina, ask them for a cutoff, or maybe if they have some lane in the back, they'd even be willing to sell you 10 feet of it for 20 bucks or something, I don't know. Here's the process to use this. Covering with a tarp is easy. Cover with a tarp, bungee cord it, tie it, whatever you got to do. What we want to do with this, we have to cover it, secure it, and then heat it. Let me show you how to do that. Two tools you're going to need for this: torch, pretty good sharp knife. Take your wrap and begin to unfurl. I like to try to limit waste. And essentially what you want to do is you want to wrap it so that the wrap comes back on itself. That's how you secure this stuff. You melt it to itself. So I'll wrap around the back and around the front. Make a cut. So we're going to take this back piece around. And right where they meet, give it a little bit of heat. And then you stick them together. And then you stick them together. There you go. You can use gloves if you don't want to burn your hands, but if you got man paws, you'll be fine. And keep doing that until you secure it around itself. Alrighty, friends, I have the sides tucked under the machine. I have the back sealed up to itself. Both sides tucked down. Now's an easy part. We just shrink it. You don't want to get too close. You don't want to be too far. You'll find a sweet spot. If you burn a hole through, put a piece of duct tape over it. I like to start at the bottom. You end up with a big flap like this, you can just kind of fold it back on itself. Put some heat right in the flap. And fold it right over on itself. Alrighty friends, I think that's about it. Let's take a look. It's okay if you burn a couple holes. Like I said, a little piece of duct tape. I happen to have some of this aluminum ducting tape, so I'm gonna put right over that. And that'll be good and good all summer till we need this bad boy. Hopefully not till December, but whenever the snow comes. But the main part of this machine is completely protected from moisture ingress over the summer season. Let the rains come. It can get down in there, it's gonna drain right through, right out to the bottom. But the carburetor, the fuel tank, the open valves for the intake and exhaust, all covered. If you want to, you can go crazy. You can cover up there, you can cover down there. But what I like to do is just protect the metal with some kind of lubricant or fluid film. And then all that stuff's good. You just gotta protect the motor. This unit, assuming I'm running it next year, 110%. I'd bet all my nickels on it that she'll start right up third pull. Gonna smoke like a 1950s housewife. That's that fogging oil. Let that kick out 30 seconds, 1 minute. She'll be cleared out and you'll be ready to chooch through the snow all you want. That's all there is to it, friends. It's about a 5-step process. Number 1, protect the exposed metal. Number 2, lubricate the machine. Number 3, make sure your fuel is protected. Number 4, make sure your carburetor and the internals of your engine are protected. And number 5, make sure the exterior of your engine is protected. If you got any questions, by all means, leave me a comment down in the squawk boxes. I would be more than happy to help you winterize or summerize, depending on how you look at it, your snowblower so that she works next year. And if you have a snowblower that's not running, well, hit me up on that too. Or maybe go check out one of my videos, because I do have a couple of videos on getting snowblowers running again, all right? As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.